Can everybody please stand? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, may we have a roll call?
Chair Michael Wrench.
Present.
Vice Chair Karen. Secretary Susan Lance. Alderwoman Courtney Day.
Here.
Commissioner Mary Wren. Here. Commissioner Owen. It's not. For absent.
Absent.
Commissioner Kristen present. And non-voting member Michelle. Kevin.
Here.
And Marion.
Here.
Alderman Hoffler. Alderman Eichmann. Gray. Barber. Hassan. Hirsch. Glenn Morrow.
Here.
And Dale.
Here.
All present and or accounted for.
Fantastic, thank you. At this time, we'd like to open it for if there are any citizens who'd like to make a comment. And we'll close it. At this time, can we have the approval of the minutes? November meeting.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? You guys have it. Jumping around, see we have some distinguished guests here. We'll jump on the new business, letter B, park facilities reservation and permitting policies. I believe the Franklin Police Department has sent one of their finest here to talk to us about that today.
Yeah.
Floor is yours, sir.
Sergeant Jason Pinsel from Franklin PD. I was talked to by Assistant Chief Learman to come speak on behalf of the police department for this question here about adding ordinance. The police department doesn't have any opposition to adding to this ordinance. It'd be nice to have something to provide backing to the DPW and workers there for any additional issues that may be coming up about that may be causing not damage but additional cleanup process for the DPW workers. Currently, the way it sits with the police department side of things, if there is damage done to any park pavilions or any park equipment, we do have ordinances on file with destruction of property that we can move forward and look for restoration to that extent or fines, citation. If somebody leaves a large mess after they're done and they're not there for permit, we really don't have anything to push forward to cause any sort of fines or monetary issues to help offset costs. So that's why we don't oppose this ordinance, adding to this ordinance, so that we do have some backing. It's not the focus of the police department to go to the parks, search for people, to check for permits, to make sure that they're there. That's not going to be a focus by us at all. The only reasons that we would end up going to check and try to get some compliance on this, again, the focus would be we wouldn't be walking in ready to hand out citations to people that are causing a mess. The focus of all citations are always focused on. For this, it would be requesting compliance to clean up any sort of mess that left by that not permitted. And if that's not done, then citation could be. That's really the focus, and we're not going to go there searching for anybody that's there having a gathering. Make sure they clean up. The only reason that we'd be at the park to address this ordinance would be a complaint based on from maybe DPW or another citizen's complaint. If they were to call in and say there's a large gathering here, they're making a mess after themselves, that would be our focus. We do regular patrols of the parks. We do try to prevent vandalism. Problem that's happened with all the parks here in the city, not just one. We do active patrols to check on that all hours of the day. If we are in the parks patrolling and we come across something, address it, but it's not going to be a focus of the department.
Do we have any
just want to clarify, this is relevant to IVB, the Park Pavilion item. I didn't realize that, but
So I guess you recall last time we talked about this, we talked about this for a while, I guess. We took this to common council, they had a recommendation. Came back here, there's some discussion. Good idea or not. Again, the purpose isn't he said go out looking for someone were to party kind of or genuine messes, but right there's just you have to wait till they leave, and then who do you find out does it? Someone rents it and they make a mess, hold it that way. Can't really cite someone because you can't prove it.
Yeah, we're not going to go look for grandma and grandpa and their grandkids having lunch together and leave a couple minutes around. That's not the focus. We all know there's a lot more crime out there that we're dealing with. Not to say that this would be a crime that we can't deal with, but again, that's not a focus of what we're going to do. Our focus is to respond for complaints provided by DPW or other citizens that have a problem with what's going on. Not hunt out where they're trying to enjoy the parks. I think I've worked here in the city for almost 18 years. I grew up here. I've spent time. I worked with Rich for quite a few years in the county park system, and the focus that the parks is to bring people in. We want to have people come enjoy our parks, no matter if it's a county park or a city park. We really want to get people to come here and enjoy the city, and we're not going to try to scare them away and threaten them the second they walk in. After yourself, would not be the focus of any. Be there for sort of a to help keep our parks looking great.
Thank you. What would be the next step moving forward then, Mary?
this item has already been to common council. I mean, ultimately, if we're going to use the road.
Yeah, they wanted to send it back to you just to kind of get it clarification, get the all that. Yes. You're okay with the way it reads? Is it back to you?
I don't believe I provided.
It has been, latest version has been passed out to the committee. Any changes, like what those are, I can get it back. Maybe next month I'll actually put it back.
Okay. Works.
Yeah, it's probably not a big deal this time of year, but we want to get it ready.
Sure. Anybody have any questions? Take a look at it at the next meeting to make sure the word is kind of how we like to go from there. Excellent. Thank you, sir. Have a good one. Sorry, that was number 4, letter B. We'll move to number 5, letter A, for our other gas preliminary site plan of new park located at 8120 South Lovers Lane.
So we have, sorry, I forgot your name.
Rob.
Rob. From Ari Smith here this evening about, we're calling it Water Tower Park, which is located on Lovers Lane. So I believe you're all familiar with the general location of this site, but he has some drawings which are in the slideshow. And the first one I have is just the overall concept. So you did receive them in your packets. I know that they're electronic only as of pretty recently, but the drawing is here. I can zoom in on it if needed. So do you want the mouse or you can point?
I can point.
So I have all of the drawings you provided in here.
I don't know if we give the next slide have the photos. I don't know. This is just the photos I took on the site. This was like September when I walked the site. Just kind of starting up in this corner. This area here is actually kind of a nice wooded area. There's some nice trees in this area of nice species. You can kind of see that here that it's shaded. The ground cover is buckthorn. You guys had a lot of buckthorn on this site that you did do extensive of. But I just kind of want to see, there are a lot of nice trees here in the ground cover.
That's Lover's Lane on the,
Lover's Lane is, correct,
Okay.
sorry, yep. And then, just kind of move over, there is like a very nice large tree in this old, kind of right there, on the area, on the open area. And then the under, cover is just kind of more like a native grass growth up, probably some invasive stuff in there, but, not as heavy with the buckthorn, not there's some buckthorn. This area over here is got an open area, couple trees. You kind of see the pictures. This was a picture I took as I literally walked through this large wetland complex in the center. It's just solid cattails that are large. Over here, again, there's some tree cover in this area, buckthorn, ground cover, that was cut down once and back. These are just kind of some pictures on this side. You have open area, but in the background is kind of the trees that buffer up against the association. Again, this is a wetland complex. Here, a photo kind of taken of it. This wetland complex is really nice. No cattails. It's all pretty much good wetland vegetation. Areas back here on the east side is just very open with a nice native ground cover, or it could be restored to ground cover. This photo, there's a group right here of pine trees. That's just a nice kind of random over, but nice group of trees. And then this area over here is kind of seen, it's more scattered, but still some tall trees. And then the ground cover there again is there's a lot of. It's just a shot into the wetland. This area over here again is the area that you have to find water towers. Drive. This is shot of that ground. So we go back. So some of the things we were just pointing out. Yeah, again. This is the planned driveway off Lover's Lane with the two water towers for the city, and then there's a stormwater pond on this area. So a lot of this area is kind of unusable, I guess I would say. And then we have there's actually 8 wetland complexes on the site that are identified. This is by far the largest one in the center, but there is a small one up in here. There's here, edge here, wetland here, and there's down. But if you start to take away these brighter green areas are what I kind of identified would fit at least your young woodland identification for like your natural resource protection plans. Some of these other little growths, they're small for that, but they're nice stands of trees that you want. Just looking at all this land, you have like 21 acres, and if we take away the wetland buffer, which I've just identified by this dashed line, it's a 30-foot buffer line around all the wetlands, which was physically required no disturbance, grading or inside that area. Take away the young, mature woodland, and then if we just kind of take away what's kind of being used here for the drive, water towers, we have about 8 acres actual use. So that's something to take note of what we can do with this, of all the space. We are showing off the driveway some opportunities for parking. We have one grouping like here down by the water towers, and then as the drive continues up to the north, there is an extension, I should say. Right? There's a drive extension that's going to finish this road and get back to Highway 100. So this road will loop through. We have parking areas here, possible bathroom facilities. We see this as more like as the parking area. Kind of saw this as overflow parking if we needed additional parking. One of the questions I really have for this group is like, do we want to keep the people like kind of like not in the water tower, as much, or do we not care?
So I will tell you, we plan to put a fence around that area, so no one will actually be able to physically
Go up into it, so it's, yeah, okay. So that the towers and and towers will be protected off.
And initially, there's only going to be one tower.
But
In
the
15
space is
years in the
there.
future, there'll be.
So that was just one of the questions, because as we see then, what we did is we proposed, we looked at this site as a passive park. Because, limits of the space, very natural, already getting down to 8 acres, you have all the wetlands and wooded areas. So this concept is basically just showing a large looping trail system throughout the property, across the wetland. At least 2 areas here that you do a raised boardwalk improvement for that. But the question, one of the questions kind of was like, do you want this trail to kind of come back in and have to kind of intermingle with these water towers, or optionally could like take the trail system here and loop it back, kind of where it starts here, and then the trail system.
And while you're here, just to let you know, the next common council meeting, we'll be talking about the trail along Lover's Lane that DOT is going to build for us when they do their project in maybe 27.
Adjacent to the street.
Yes. So I'm going to recommend that they actually go up. I would love to go up on this side, but it just makes sense to keep the trail on the west side of the road all the way up through there. So it basically started at St. So the trail south of St. Martin's will be on the east side of the road. That will go on around to 60th Street that they're building for us here. And then when they do this project, for this section of road, they won't be widening the road, but they'll be fancy overlay, if you will. They will be building a trail for it. And I'm going to recommend that they stay on the west side, because they're going to cross over the west side and hit the St. Martin Trail along St. Martin Road. Then they're going to go up all the way to the west side. It'll go all the way up to the monastery, cross at the monastery, and then continue up to Hales Corners on the east side. So there's reasons why I'm recommending that, but that's just a better route. This side, I would love to have a trail too, also, but I think that when the future commercial lots to the south ever get developed, when they get developed, the developer will extend the trail at that time. We'll be able to come up and hit the. Have to go across one property to get to our area. And then from there, sometime in the future, I'd love to see the city going up to the Target shopping center. All from Target now. But it would be good to make sure you have a trail going out to the road.
Right, yeah, so that's why we did have a trail connection down here as a possible connection off this trail system to do that. And we could connect the trail right along this driveway, if the trail is here, and have this section of trail right here. But alternatively, we have this. We also, we have talked about possibly having a trail connection, so that it have a trail that goes out.
I have had conversations with Aurora, because they actually own that. There actually used to be a trail back there once upon a time. So if you look in an aerial, you can actually see remnants of a bridge. I haven't walked back there to look at it, but it was like, that's very interesting. We'll take this and talk to their board, but I haven't heard from them.
The ability is there to have future trail. Just for purposes, the outside loop on here would be approximately a half-mile walking loop. Basically, a reference. I think it would be, you'd actually see a lot of different. If you kept this as a natural park, you'd kind of see a lot of different. The trail, so boardwalks through the wetlands. There'd be some possible opportunities to enhance these wetlands. Look at grant funding or something to cattails out of there. So the trail too can be going through the wooded areas that exist back here, back into open areas, cross, and think there's a lot of natural opportunities for the site. To try to create like another option. Out here, this is kind of like a higher spot on the property. And kind of to the north. Could have benches and stopping points along the trail system. Kind of early. You want to go to the last slide. So in discussions, a couple different things came up. Disc golf was something that came up. It's something that you guys have been looking to do. Also pickleball courts and what about pickleball courts? Just look at different things. I just wanted to show you guys kind of a sense of what that would look like. So like, here's what 4 pickleball courts size would look like. It'd be something that you would put close to your parking bathroom. It would demand a lot of parking. I'm not sure that there's not a lot of parking stalls here. All courts are lighted, and create noise. You have neighbors in this area, and there's probably room for kind of municipal parks with larger keep up right because of the high use. So I don't know if that's a big item for you guys at this site, or it really should be looked at somewhere. Disc golf is the blue lines. We just showed kind of roughly what we could do for 9 holes of golf. So this does, the trail system is a little bit different than the last one, but we can fit 9 holes disc golf throughout this system. Still have a trail system and the routing drives. So wetland crossing 7. So disc golf, typically for 18 holes, you'd have like 16 to 20 acres of land to do it. Whole disc golf course. 18 holes is kind of the third amount of holes to play in disc golf. There are 9-hole courses out there though, all over the place. So again, we can't fit an 18-hole course on the site. Whether you guys would want to look for a site that could do 18, or if a 9-hole would be something. If we do, if you did a disc golf course, a lot of these areas you would end up seeding in mowed lawn area, whereas the other, if you just do a natural trails, keep everything as a native prairie woodland. There would be a trade-off also. More mowed turf. It'd still be within some unmowed natural areas. Certainly don't need to disc golf mow everything around it. A lot of Milwaukee County mowed area. We do have to keep them. We did route it to keep it away from neighbors, away from the wetland. And you'll see that a lot of the courses are pretty close to the trails. Also, make that fit. So again, how does that feel if there's a lot of people that just walk the trails? People plan something tight on this site for you, but certainly want to present that. So, could be an option. Could be an option. I think that covers my stuff here and some of the questions. There certainly would be areas too for like tables and lawn area, like by the parking. Some people could do that, more of a controlled area than really about the parking. All garbage. Have that. And the was an option. Facility down here with the parking, so I don't know if that's enough parking or that open. Is isolated.
You may recall we've always been thinking about some sort of composting toilet because there's no sewer for this site. But just last week I realized that we have sewer property south, so we could actually put a restroom, little grinder pump. So we'll have water with the water tower, so you can have fully flushable toilets and sinks to wash up. Then a grinder pump that could 1.5, 2-inch line that can pump it sanitary sewer, and we're good. It's less maintenance.
I think that would be easier to do in this location. But I think bigger pump.
And then just to point out that the road to the north, so the DOT allowed us so initially when we started the design of this project, DOT told us we could not have a new driveway off of Lover's Lane. They did allow us to, and I won't say the number was 11 or 12 cars, but if we get larger than that, they required us to go through that other entrance also, that they actually intended for us to go. I will tell you the neighbors are not all happy about that option, but we will have to a condemnation issued to make it finalized. But my opinion is we've already got the permission to go there, but there's some people really making some voice about this, so we'll have to wait our way through.
You have to have a turnaround. If you didn't have,
Well,
stalls not.
So yeah, we'd have to limit the parking and maybe make it like a cul-de-sac kind of thing. But again, I feel like for safety reasons, and the intent was always to access this parcel from that road. Some people are trying to read easements, but DOT purchased rights for no driveway on this parcel, with the intent that we're all sharing. So one thing I didn't see it talk about, but I would like to see a lot of extra planting, just trees, and maybe even a solid fence along the upper right corner, the wetland over.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was on the first slide. It is on one of our kinds of layouts. There's not very good screening here to the two properties that are here.
And David Frost has said good fences, good neighbors.
Fences and more evergreens, trees to screen this off and provide that privacy. Kind of keep them. You'll see, like on this one, we kept the disc golf. If you do a disc golf, we move the disc golf away from that neighbor and put the trail there, or the trail kind of keeps down here. So if you're not doing a disc golf, we kept the trail even further away. That neighbor. Further from the one up here is very close and open trail.
Their neighbor on the end of the road.
Yes.
There's two houses.
Yeah, I know the house is on the north, but I'm about the east.
It's the condos.
Condos. Building together,
Evans Pond. Condos.
Are those
Then-
across from
I thought there was a
station?
house at the end of
I have a good aerial.
Aurora Land, where the Aurora Trail was.
So
I thought there was a house back.
there is this is a good picture.
It's kind of a junkyard and this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's two homes. This one's very close. This one actually has things parked on it. These two people are not at all excited about. I made sure we stay. You should ever go back there. Don't drive past the stake because of the noise. Talking about churches didn't kind of reflect.
I guess what I'm talking about then is peace. What are those white spots?
So these,
Yes,
this is Evans Pond. Condo.
those are condos?
Evans Pond, I think.
Yeah.
Then immediately to the north is Butler Road.
I thought there was a junkyard in there. Okay. Could you go back to the trail picture?
Do you want the disc golf one or the other one?
Either one. I don't like trails that have dead ends. Turn around. And I can't see, well, is it dead ending there or is it onto a road?
This one is for.
No, not there. No, I know that's going to find another trail, but I'm talking about the two. Yeah,
Here?
yeah. there.
That's dead ending into that, I'm sorry, this is a proposed asphalt driveway. I didn't color that in, but so this would be like from the park, these are the parking stalls.
So the trail will continue down the driveway then?
In this scenario, the people would have to walk along the driveway to
Okay.
get back to the park. But if that's not something you guys like I said, we could take the trail from this location, connect it back up here. So like, start the trail, you come this way.
And then it would have to be all boardwalk, wouldn't it?
This would all have to be boardwalk. But we have boardwalk here too, so either way, you're crossing the wetland.
And I do like having a trail somewhere in the front yard, so someday there will be a trail along the.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
I think the big question for the group, like, are we taking the disc golf idea and do that, or should we take it off the table given the
My personal thoughts are, if you have two residents to the north, you don't want any there ever. Adding parking, people, disc golf, not make them happy. I would natural with trails location. Yes, sir.
I've played some disc golf, and I think that it's a little close to the walking trail because, especially for beginners, the discs go all over the place, and that's not a good idea.
Right.
excuse me.
Yeah, experience.
Yeah, we again, we put it in there to kind of show you how it could fit if it couldn't fit. Yeah, the close proximity. Especially if both people were walking down the trail and didn't want to play with.
So keep in mind, we do have a lot of acres that you just purchased last year for Southwest Park. Haven't really programmed that and take up 20 acres of that for a disc golf course. That is another option.
Parts of it are more interesting than others, though. A lot of it's just farm field right now. Like, I believe disc golf people like obstacles.
And we did have MMSD come talk to us. They would love to find a spot where they could come and just plant a bunch of trees. They should trees. Wouldn't let a farm field think that there couldn't be trees there because MMSD would come in and plant as much as we let them.
Yep. And to that point too, so the city engineer has had conversations with a couple different people about natural resource restoration on this site as well. So it is a secondary environmental corridor. So it had been previously identified because of the wetland and because of the presence of sun and kind of environmental nature, which generally speaking, like trails would be less impactful.
So Root Pike Wind is one that looking spring grant and enhance the wetland, even make like grapes golf thing, but you can make some really interesting.
I'm big on good places to sit. So, and look at stuff.
I like the idea of the possible picnic area up by there. How many parking spaces max that could go in there?
We show like 17. You could put more parking spaces. You could fit some more. Either just like off the drive and then like, right, there is, and then these were kind of like, so you certainly could get more here. I think 16, 20 stalls is probably a good amount for a half-mile trail system. So you kind of park, it's just all the natural trails.
I don't think we're talking about shelter. A nice shelter.
Yeah, I think
Shelter
it's a
would
spot
be
for,
too much.
right.
If it's a natural reserve kind of area, be like big lunch, half-mile walk with your littles or your elders, right?
Yep.
And some other things that, so if you don't do a frisbee golf, we have talked about senior fitness station.
Yeah, either along the trail system.
And probably one thing you don't show, but probably like a very small toddler playground.
It could, right, yeah, you could have a little small footprint area, like, yeah. And that's a trail system. Needed, but it's
Make it 3 or 4 years old. Only so many times they walk a half mile.
trying to wear them out.
Yeah.
So playground, walking, or
We had talked about some kind of a dog park thing, but I really don't see it.
yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I did typically a dog park, we kind of started a little bit of size, because you can provide that space. Large. I kind of looked at this area here, like, at this trail system. So like fence this area off, got the parking. That's only like 3/4. It's just not big enough. But that's not. We have some other land that has a lot more.
I was trying to think of all the other things that you guys talk about occasionally wanting to do, but I don't think anything else. I think it's better.
I like the idea of a couple picnic tables, passing, the trails, boardwalk system, a couple fitness stations along. We've talked about finding a home for some of those.
And something I could do, which might be nice. So I've got some, depending on another project, I could have a lot of SD funds that would pay for pavers. So we could do a paver patios where the water would pavers soak down sand, the wetland. So a picnic table area could go on that.
You say no shelters for rental pavilions, but what about got a half-mile of trail and you're out in the middle of it, and then we get adverse weather coming through, a lean-to or some kind of shelter for rain or something like that?
You can maybe do something over like a bench.
Right. Yeah. We definitely have benches.
Provide
and stuff,
shade.
the resting. So yeah, that can do.
Yeah, sort of like you have bus stop or shade if needed at the halfway point.
Right.
In fact, we have a bench. You can do a bench, buy one,
Right.
Right, well, like a fundraising initiative with benches. Well, get people to sponsor benches.
Another thought, just for finding things before, I said, talked multiple times about trailheads. For whatever reason, have not been able to get a trailhead built. This could be a location where you have a nice watering station, fill your water bottle up, where you park it. But remember, eventually there's going to be trails basically with bike rack, one of those gadgets that pump up all your time. All the tools that let's think of our space beyond trail.
Is the water tower going to be like the big water tower or like the small water tower? You got two water tower sizes.
It's not quite as big as the one in Buttes. Buttes are 2 million gallons, but it'll look more like that than it would the tiny one behind the fire station. Is only 500,000 gallons. Very, very small. Cleaner in
But
between.
it's much taller.
Would be taller.
So be tall, but
It'll look like the
bigger.
Buttes, but it won't be as brown. It'll be yeah, it'll actually
bulb at the top.
So Buttes is all metal. This will actually be a composite. So it'll be concrete. Top will be but it'll be the shape. You know, look at silhouette. It'll look like the silhouette of Buttes. Opposed to the one behind the fire station is almost like a mag light. You know, the top isn't much wider than the base. So it looks like stained pipe.
does it have to be a certain height to get the water?
Yeah.
So it had, the one by Drexel had to be that tall?
Yep. So,
But this
Yeah.
doesn't need to be that tall.
well, it needs to be at the same elevation. So that's why we try to find hills. We don't build them tall. But the actual overflow elevation, so this overflow elevation will actually match the elevation of the fire station.
They ever,
They do empty out some. Get a bad water main break or a lot of fires going on or something like that. You know, that's why you have. We try to.
Water tower will have the Franklin.
We'll have the new. That was the intent. Administration, I haven't been told otherwise. I did try to see if the Milwaukee Bill could sponsor. I don't know if you see the park towers. Like, another idea.
Anybody have any other questions or comments?
So the direction is no frisbee, no disc golf. I'll be more natural. And I hear no pickleball.
Yeah, there's not enough.
But I am hearing definitely space for tables, possibly on paver patio, maybe some shelters for the city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, so the question is, what's pathway made out of? It will be asphalt, so there's ADA accessible, so get somebody in a wheelchair and push them down. Maybe get themselves a lot of effort.
So you're looking 8 or 10 feet wide?
It would be 10 foot wide, so ideally our pathways are 10 foot wide. Police car on it or ambulance, so if somebody's in the back and has medical emergency, we can actually which is probably a reason why we want to have this, so an ambulance could get on there.
I was just say that too, the boardwalks could offer that, but we, certainly have that accessibility and through the whole system, go through if you had to, crossing we don't wanna have to build these.
I don't wanna pay these to.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna be as strong as like the River Parkway one. Couple boardwalks.
Talking about the Root River Parkway that we just built.
So the county Oak Leaf White Trail.
Oh, I got
comes
you,
through.
I got you.
That goes from
Drexel.
yeah, those are 20 trucks across.
Yeah. So I'm thinking just a simple boardwalk. You could put a car across if you really had to. Probably think. But I would rather, I'd rather give you like an access over here. So maybe that's what I would keep.
You guys did talk, you would try to maintain these in winter though, or no?
It'd be the very last thing we do is clean them because we don't.
Right.
I mean, anything else we do.
I just said we might have to think about that for the boardwalk.
And then if you got a ambulance or a police car coming up across the boardwalk, other spots that I've never driven an ambulance, and when the fire department comes out, they come out with all of their stuff and bring their big rigs, but they probably drop the big rigs back there. But you've got other boardwalks; they're not going to be able to run paths. You're almost other boardwalks strong enough or plans.
Really, really short.
Look at.
Something, if that's the option, if you put some spot out there for a larger area to.
I just hate the budget.
So that's, I'm familiar with Oakley Valley, drop some concrete barriers beyond. Whether it's directional holes like you have out in front of those. Yeah,
Yeah.
some that prevents vehicles.
Vehicles, but yeah, everyone else.
That's
Motorcycle will do it. Right? They're awesome on those. Yeah, we'll get that for sure. Runner.
any other direction. So, not really planning, they decide not to do a big public. Could host a meeting just to show people, or maybe send a link to everyone about this. Tell you, the last meeting with these folks went pretty well. Anyways,
Thank you. I think less is probably better.
okay, no big public meeting.
I came up with the water tower park so far. So, I like discussion, he likes it a lot.
That is not
It's a placeholder, just, yeah. So if anyone wants to brainstorm different ideas for that, that's.
Doesn't that go out to the public?
What's
Isn't that a written go out to the public?
the common council will have to.
But it goes out to the public for any kind of, that's what it happened with. It was,
Yeah, it has
wouldn't
to.
have to.
Good placeholder.
Helps us know where it is.
There's not a water tower there either.
Me 2 years.
It'll have
So,
to be
so just so
thorough.
you know, the water tower and water main will be taken to the next common council week from tomorrow night. And I expect them, if they'll sign contracts. We bid it out last year, didn't happen, but we rebid it. Like we'll go to award bids. So, say tower, probably about 2 years. Thank you, supply chain.
The park going to happen before the water tower, or is it all going to be one?
So my goal has always been, I'd like to see us go ahead and develop the park before the towers are finished. I don't let the public out there. I've been part of so many wetland restoration projects where big ribbon cutting ceremony, you go out there and everybody looks, ew, yucks. Wetlands generally need about 2 years to just a year to get developed and look halfway decent. My goal is it would not be open to the public till the tower's open, because we don't want people walking around our. So when the construction site's done, that would coincide with the park getting its growth.
Right, but the intention is to do some planting and stuff. As it relates to next year.
Yes.
Start that process.
Excellent. I guess we'll move on to,
Thanks, Rob.
hey, no, thank you. It was item 5, new agenda, where we were working with our friends from the rec department on a permitting system.
Yep, so I, thank you for coming, Leah. The main reason this item is on the agenda, so currently there is not a budget for a park permitting software for 2024. The city is looking at some other options for citywide changes to permitting software. But the reason this item is on the agenda is because we have already received 2 requests other than the rec department's request for pickleball reservation. And so I wanted to give you an opportunity to start to think about what that looks like without being people asking you for stuff. Because right now, Dale has provided, I didn't get a chance to put it in the slideshow, but Dale has provided what the updated courts could look like. And then I think the major concern that the commission has stated in the past is that because there's all these other reservations, that prevents the general public from playing kind of freely. So, the rec department will be submitting their requests for next year. But like I said, I already have 2 other requests that have people that have come forward because there's this support. So my suggestion to you is, if you want to set some boundaries, maybe it's only X number of other groups in reserve, or that we only accept reservations up to this year, or you can do it for a certain amount of time. That's a priority. That conversation. If, like right now, I don't have the specifics of all of those requests. It's people saying I'm going to come, but it'll be in addition. As this continues to move on, at least for pickleball, you might want to have some boundaries.
Is it more like league play, or is it just individual friend groups that want to reserve,
Right.
or is it a league that they want to do it all summer long kind of thing, or a mixed bag of both?
It's so far the league requests will be coming from the rec department, and then most of the other requests, with the exception of Sam Creasy, there's an older folks group that is very consistent, and it's small groups of people that just. So thank you for that question. So yes, that begs the question: do they need to be organized in some way? What kind of boundaries? These types of reservations, because it could potentially be almost every sport. Leah, do you want to kind of, will the request be essentially the same? Yep.
Spring, summer, fall.
Yep.
Same dates as usual, and then tennis courts at Ken Wendell once a week in June, once a week in July, August. Courts. I can see how you're overflow. I work at the basement district, and it's doing it. Problem. I know we talked about using our for that trade-off thing. Courts, I can write in the court name or the park name, right? Court number, whatever it is. If you want to book that, either I give admin access to it, that at least you have documentation.
I mean, at this point, unless it's for an event, this commission hasn't entertained individual bookings for single day. So there were a couple of tournaments that came through last year, which were like a weekend or single date. And that's another question is like, allow that? What does the scope of that look like? So, but for the overall, currently the way this is being managed, there's a group. We do want to get away from that, so talk more about that. The rec department also has a site plan for a new rec facility that's currently working through its approval. I don't think that it will be ready in time to impact anything we do. So, yeah.
And no,
No, okay. Yeah, not the person.
So from my standpoint, I get a lot of calls, what's open to play? I'd love to know that, guide or put the site. You choose guys. You know, we do Lion Legends. Having a list of, hey, where can I go?
How many courts are you guys looking at Lions Legend?
Was there 10 now?
Yeah, there's 10.
I think you've been using 4 and then going on at Vernon Bar Park, that's where you guys. The Legend Park aren't there yet.
Yeah, that one's still being.
We have noticed we have construction going on at Lions Legend. Looks like the contractor's he's getting a lot of work done this fall that he wasn't anticipating. So in the springtime he'll be able to pave it, wait 30 plus days to coat it, put the fence up. So fairly early springtime it should be ready to go.
Whenever you guys give us news, wait list, especially if you're non-resident. But frankly, if you build it, they will come, you know.
So would you put in the rec department entry something about the directing? Okay, so it would kind of like okay, a cheater that kind of explains.
Yeah, that would be one recommendation, like you did last year. You cut off the lead reservations. It's not taking for this. So we could then publish that information everywhere. We did post a schedule eventually, so Dale posted schedules at the courts as well. So, yeah, and then if there were one-off events, that would just coordinate, have the overall schedule of like, this one's reserved this day, these dates.
Yes, sir.
No, I was just going to refresh everyone's memory for all the reservations from last year. At Vernon Bar, Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings, 8 till 12. Sam had that. That's the older guy that has a Vernon Bar, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, 5 to 8. That was the rec department, and along with Saturday mornings, 9 to 11:30. Ken Wendell had a gal that was it from Ridge Church on Fridays from 6:30 to 8. Oh, you have a.
I'm not totally sure this was the final.
That was a Ken Wendell, but there's no dedicated pickleball
Yeah,
course there.
okay.
She was just using the tennis courts. And then this P. Harris, I forget what the guy's first name is, but Patrick. He had Pleasant View on Wednesdays, 5 throughout the whole. And I did post all the schedules at each park, and when I go there and work there, I had a lot of questions on how can I reserve this court. So I would say brace for a bunch of reservation requests. So.
And this is not for fee, right? for free.
Correct.
When you say you can absorb this into the rec department, familiar with like reservation, and also for school care, you can do a calendar by. Would that be how it would be set up? Like people could reserve?
Yeah, right now we have forms. We have to date, time. Continual ones are fine. One-offs are fine. Wouldn't be like of extra work or anything. But not every
Can you
district.
set any parameters like we had talked about, only being able to reserve it for 2-hour blocks?
Yeah.
That-
Yeah. Works policy. We do that with gym time.
You do this for a week.
They always.
Currently, there's no fees established. Something that the commission has kind of talked about, but I think it's going to be time to revisit.
But you could handle the fee, right? You guys take charge cards and
We
stuff
have
like
a-
that.
Yeah, we.
Right.
Fee. We might have. I would.
What are the thoughts on leaving half of the courts open to the public at all times?
Have an issue with the rec department schedule because the one park, all of them.
Correct. They're there to use all the courts at Vernon Park. Just make sure if we have 30 courts in the system that are left open.
Not necessarily a park.
No, just half in that way. Rec department on its to the new complex across the down the road where parks. Maybe we park open public play at all times. Put reservations at one area and park is always open for public play. Just a thought. Open, but this is a problem. And it's only going to get worse. And until we build a 75 court ball structure, not going to solve anything. I mean, just it's. I don't want to say it's comical, but people are going to come out of the woodwork when they know that I can book a court for free every Wednesday from 7 to 9 in the summer. So if I wanted to play one Wednesday, all of them show up and you don't, it doesn't matter. Fine. And I think that's a problem. I know that are not fanatical. I know it's not easy to walk up to go play. But we do need to keep it open. Not charging. If we were charging fees, it'd be a different story. Parks have to leave. Whatever the total is, that's just my thought.
Actually shocked you.
It's early.
And they don't know how to do it. But I play pickleball on the league, and then I've also been to morning, and both of those are play-in style, so you don't come with a group to play, but then we've been approached by groups who want to just play with their own group, and they don't want to play into rec play, open play. So it is challenging. When we show up at the courts, I think we had that negotiation, we changed the time, right, to 5:30, give more time for the members. When we would come on and there were people playing, we tell them, okay, at 5:30, then it becomes rec play and you'll have to leave. But we give them alternate, parks to go to sometimes. But the problem is there's we don't have a price, we don't have a schedule, you have some proposals that you wrote up, right, in our proposed guide. And we did have some parameters that sensible, right, like limiting people to only being able to reserve 2 weeks out or 2-hour blocks, and then we had a fee so we could make some funds for repairs and necessary maintenance things. Seems the reservation, like the pavilions, make the reservation to get guaranteed support, right? Another thing that, like, how do we reimburse if it's adverse weather? Is it?
I don't think
Sorry,
you do.
yeah.
It's sorry.
Yeah. You have to build that verbiage into the policy to say, like, these reservations are regardless of a snowstorm in May,
But then you
We had talked about preferential reservations for city because it's a way for us to generate out of it. Actually, the fees have gone up $1. So, and it's per day instead of the 2 days. You have to pay per day that you play now. So Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Right.
so by 12 weeks.
About $100 if you go for all 3 of them. Right? So you're a little bit of increased revenue from that, right?
Yep.
When is the deadline that you have to have it in?
There isn't really a deadline. We have a tiered June is like everything from the district rec department, athletics, everything, lives, games, peer groups, scouts, that kind of thing, and then August. It's community, if they want to book a gym, has to go through that year. Nothing stops anybody from booking Tuesday gym time unless it's for an athletic. Members free. Teams are community members, like if there's a club coming in, that's under this. Polonia. Soccer charge. There's a fee to play or pay to play.
And the your reservation rec department, when does that publication out next?
That's out now.
The next one.
Oh, the next.
If we were to get like a schedule of fees.
It'd be summer, that would come out.
Should have to have for the publication, is that right?
Technically, end of April is when it gets published.
I would think that we would want anybody who wants to make a reservation.
Okay. So leave reservation.
I would think so. There's the one-off. I would just be leery at some tournament every possible Saturday. What do we charge for? Yeah, it's nothing. Hey, $20 a player off. It's America, so I think everybody. Especially, somebody's got to pick up the trash and deal with everything that comes with it. I do think that maybe on the January meeting we have a hard discussion about fees, that kind of stuff. I don't think anybody's opposed
discussion gone for park tour?
I don't know. I think I've banged that drum for like 4 years.
Is that something that we want?
It makes sense. Have a parks, add parks, training DW, or adding more help with.
Thing it's good to be open communication.
Awesome.
On the,
Okay.
you know, just having open. But we were talking about golf and going that in the future, like.
Where are you?
In the site plan, what's being presented out.
West of,
Trail.
west of the middle.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Trail the more looking to.
I didn't want to assume.
Fleming Park has 60 people. The asphalt.
Looks nice by the day after.
I mean, that'll help.
Is that reversible or is that that's county, right?
It's county.
So how does that work?
You can reserve it. It's a fee. Some, but it'll mostly just. Excellent. Does anybody else have any questions for the rec department?
I have more for you guys, line
I would think,
ready to then.
if they pave it, then it's got to 30 days.
Yeah, so they'll probably pave it and temporary stripe it so people can play on it, but got to sit at least 30 days. We learned our lesson with Pleasant View. Probably let it at least a month and a half, make it good and dry. Load it. Probably more like summers, to be safe. I hate to say you can sit, then we have to shut it down so we can, because we'll have to keep people off of it for a couple of days while we.
Are you thinking of moving over there from?
Talk about that. Megan? Over.
Excellent. Thank you. We'll jump back in ADHD mind to mind to I think it's number 4. I don't have a sheet for me, but I think it's number A for parks maintenance update. Thank you, Lou.
All the pavilions have been winterized. Franklin Woods and Pleasant View have one restroom each that'll be open all winter. Picnic tables have been stacked. Trails have been marked for plowing. All the nets and the windscreens are taken down. And I guess as we have time during the winter, we'll be brushing some of the trails and cutting back some of the buckthorn. Special shout out to Shelley. She's been repainting a lot of all of the panels at Keelis Park. I've been taking those down. We're painting them inside of Pleasant View right now. Scraping the old graffiti, anti-graffiti coating off, painting them and putting new anti-graffiti coating in. That's saved us a lot of work. So Shelley, that a great job.
Thanks for putting this up at for me, I should say.
we'll move to letter C, 2023 and 2024 budget.
Yep, I actually do not have an update at this time regarding this. So for entertaining it on the agenda,
We'll jump to letter D, parks marketing material.
Yep, so unfortunately I wasn't able to print the materials, but you were provided, Commissioner Lucky, you passed them out at your previous meeting. Those have been circulated to the clerk's office. They let me know that they'll look at them, but it sounds like they're pretty busy, so I haven't gotten feedback from them. And then the commission did give direction that some stuff should advance to common council. And I haven't done that yet. Donations policy to go to common council. So I would like to try to get that on a January agenda, but I didn't get it done yet. So that is the current status of all of that. If you have any changes or draft, please let me know. If anyone wasn't able to open the files, they were pretty big. So
and on that file too, I did have the T-ball and court stuff. It's just what other people reservations stuff. It's not anything how I would apply it to ours. You can add in there and stuff like blues tournaments, kind of everything we just talked about.
yeah, and I think it would be useful to have, so you have the reservations as a discussion of like the actual requests that people are making, but to separate the policy items from the item and break those out. So I'd like to maintain an agenda in the future of like what's the reservation we talk about and possibly revisit them soon and talk about different reservation practices. Those kind of.
Well, they can.
Yep. So, but I will connect with you before the item comes on council.
Thank you. We'll jump to letter E, updates on trails projects.
So DOT is doing a lot of trail projects for us. They are still acquiring property and right of way and for the Highway 100, Bryan Road, St. Martin's. So basically, you'll be able to get from Sports Complex, walk all the way up to St. Martin's Road. So it'll be on the north and east side of Bryan Road, St. Martin's. It gets up the intersection of Loomis. It will, if it crosses, then switches side. I think that's what happens. I think it crosses Loomis on the east side. When you cross the intersection, then you'll have to cross for the car lot, west side. Then you'll follow that on up around. There's just, with the complication of trying to figure out how to get pedestrians across that really funky intersection. And Lover's Lane, that's kind of the causing. And then, like I said, so a future project, DOT would actually continue that trail all the way up the west side of Lover's Lane, up past Target, continue on up to the monastery. And the monastery has been asking for a while for some kind of a good crossing place right there. So one, by crossing the trail there, it'll help warrant nice flashing signal kind of thing. That's what we're hoping to do. Then we'll switch over to the east side of Lover's Lane and continue up because that's actually where the bridge is. Look at the bridge closely. The bridge is anticipated the trail would go on there someday. They'll line up with that. That's why we're as far as Rawson north to College, DOT is should be much more bike and pedestrian friendly when they're all done. But it's going to take them a while to get it done. Next year, 24, they're going to work on the southbound lanes of the road, and I think it's going to be next year, so 26, 25, and they'll work on the northbound lane. So that right now they just have the crossover functioning, but it's really utilities getting done, so it's going to be a mess for about 2 years. The 116th Street Trail, we are working on I should say, We Energies is working on moving a lot of their electrical services from one transformer to the other. So both transformers are in the same spot there in St. Martin's, that big spot. There's actually an electrical engineer, but there's really two transformer systems there. They're basically getting rid of one and moving everybody over to the other one. So it's the same spot, but that requires them to have to relay lines, bearing lines. They'll be putting new poles up and so forth. So they are working aggressively to try to get as much done as they can. Then our contractor, when we bid it, we'll actually have them work around, and hopefully the We Energies will be enough out of the way that we can actually get our. That's proceeding. It's just gotten delayed a little bit because of We Energies. We are also, I forget the date, but we are actually having a neighborhood meeting for all the properties adjacent to Loomis from St. Martin's all the way up to Rawson. And the idea is we're going to put a 6-foot trail from St. Martin's all the way up to Rawson. We will be assessing property on it, city included. If you look at the property ownership, the reason why we're doing it there, not some other places, is because pretty much all the properties are non-residential. So our code says that if you're a residential property, you have an indefinite deferment for a sidewalk. So most of our trails past residences, we're never going to collect those fees. It's not worth the trouble going through the effort to try to assess. But in this situation, pretty much all the properties are commercial or have the ability to, like behind Pick and Save, that's going to turn into something someday. It's zoned residential. There's just a handful of residential properties that will never have to pay this assessment. All the rest of them will be commercial. We're going to make. Also looking at 6-foot pathway along 27th Street. That will go from Elm Road all the way up to Villas. Long stretch, big project. DOT will do that for us. Again, we're doing that because we assess pretty much all the properties up and down through there. All the commercial properties will be assessed for that. Actually, everyone, to be technical, everyone will be assessed, but the residential properties will have a deferment. Residential zone properties will have a deferment. So there are some commercially zoned properties where if somebody has a house there, they'll be taxed. But so that, when all is said and done, you'll be able to walk up and down 27th Street. You'll be able to walk basically all the way up and down Highway 100. You'll be able to get to the big trail that heads down 36 towards. We're making a lot of progress. Trails. Did I forget anything? Forest Home is open. It's not a big one, but Forest Home is open. If you haven't been by there, so that's what a 10-foot trail looks like. You drive by it because people don't think about it, but black trail doesn't look very wide. So black asphalt, you look at a 10-foot, it doesn't seem that wide. For whatever reason, concrete 10-foot looks like it's an airport terminal out there, but black asphalt really blends in well with the surroundings, and drive past it on the south end, so it goes from Muskego line all the way up to the first crossing of the hike bike trail. I will tell you that there's a developer, and I think we're having another meeting tomorrow or later in the week anyway, looking at developing on the north side of Monticello Gardens. So looking at developing that, and like the last person who kicked the tires on this project, are very excited about a possible connection to a trail, possibly going through St. Martin. I haven't yet to hear from St. Martin's. I'm probably due to knock on their shoulder again and say, hey, I need an answer. There has been discussion on use of park impact fees. My recollection is that when we decided to buy the Southwest Park, a lot of the projects I had ready to go got put on the table, pulled off because we kicked the can down the road. I haven't seen a final tally on the park impact fees, but there is discussion that maybe I need to start pulling those projects back off and happening. So I'll probably be contacting the school again, say, hey, let's be talking about going through the Archdiocese property between 92nd and 80th Street. So, but that's probably too early to speculate. It's probably going to kick off some projects because of the urge in parking.
Excellent. Thank you.
Anything else? Enough? I guess I would tell you also that the county is doing improving South 76th Street from County Line Road up to whatever that road is for that new subdivision. So it'll come up past Oakwood Road, stop at that, wherever that entrance road is. And the follow-up would basically go from there to Ryan. The follow-up would basically go from Ryan north. So that happens, at least on the south part. We've told them, you know what, that's probably not needed for a trail, but we do want you to widen the shoulders to make it more bicycle and pedestrian friendly so people can walk there. We haven't told them what we want yet when it does go further north, but I would imagine, so Karma property, they will have a sidewalk up and down through there, which will help people walk. And the other thing that we have not heard back yet, we did submit a grant for Putes Road, go from St. Martin's all the way to 76th Street. We don't know which side of the road yet. If you remember, we had a big public meeting. I think most everybody wanted the trail, just I want it on that side, not mine. So I think everybody understands and appreciates that people go way too fast. There is no place for anybody to walk. We decided that I just gave up trying to get a big road project to make it like the rest of Putes Road. So we're going to just try to get pathway, and then a follow-up project someday will be 43rd, 27th Street. But the first one will be, this coincides with a repaving project. We're going to start repaving next year. We're going to do that first, and then the trail will go in.
Now are you done?
Now I'm done.
We'll go to, I believe this is last, letter F. Discussion of creation of combined parks and environmental.
Yep, and so at our last meeting, we sort of tentatively raised the subject of this because the Environmental Commission, it turns out that historically the commissions have been one commission and separated. I'm not totally certain on the rationale behind that, but their duties were combined. So we've done a little research since then, and you had requested examples of agendas. So I provided kind of a sampling of agendas packet. I've marked up some that I've probably misplaced. So with some examples of the kinds of subjects that they review. You also had information about your administrative rules and procedures in general. The text of that is this similar, they're both part of the municipal code, but it turns out that this commission, which I think we all knew, but I wasn't aware of the state enabling language around this commission's budget powers. So you have some state powers that are endowed under state code. The Environmental Commission, their purview is almost entirely local. And so that's something to be aware of. But for now, this item did go also to Environmental Commission. They have kind of the same that you do, that they don't want to blend the two scopes without having a clear representation of both kinds of scopes. They don't want to create a commission that has too much to do. So those are all things that are worth discussing. But for now, I've provided the agendas just so you have examples. So they do quite a lot of education, like their mandate is around education events, and then also reviews of a variance process called the Natural Resource Special Exception. And then they also have some oversight and review of things like the city tree list. So that's reflected in one of these agendas, that the city has a preferred tree list that affects what trees go into city parks as well as street trees. It's not part of the ordinance, it's something that's incorporated by reference. So this commission, Parks Commission, doesn't review that environment. There's an example of a place where there's reasonable overlap. So they have had discussions with and supported events that have to do with cleanups in city parks. So there's been some work with Root Pike Wind. You guys may have also reviewed this, where the Root Pike Wind came through and did a cleanup event in Pleasant View Park. I think that came to both commissions. That was 2 years ago. We're all blank.
I can tell you they were involved in some other projects that did not go.
Yeah, so there was one in Pleasant View, or well, in the.
Oh, that's right. They had one. They were like hawk boxes. It was a bad house. Birdhouse.
So they did an educational event. I think they also did something around like invasive species removal that may have been in a park. Not a city. So Root Pike Wind has done work around invasive species removal in parks. Native habitat restoration is something that they have looked at. So there's a desire to do the types of restoration that impact the site plan for example, of Water Tower Park. That wetland has cattails in it and to be restored or could be restored if funding is available to do that. That's the kind of project where they actually have a grant writing power to help identify funds for the city to take on to do kinds of. So right now we're still kind of figuring out what would a combined commission potentially look like, but the recommendation from the office was that to combine them under the powers of the Parks Commission, partly because of the budgetary power. So that's as far as I got with that research for today. But if you have additional questions or want more, let me know. I'm going to be kind of following up on some of this research and pursuing this discussion to the extent that it makes sense to do that. So I realize there's some reticence about it, and I don't want to propose something to overburden you, but I also am trying to look at some options for you to narrow your focus to policy issues so you're not reviewing permit, individual permit. Here's the policy program for all of it. And then we don't pay attention to if somebody wants to put up a back that kind of thing. So very early days for that, but I'm hoping to get it moving. And likewise, that commission probably wouldn't do as many events because they've done quite a few events in the past, and they don't have capacity for it right now. They can't meet sometimes.
Yes.
Who attends our meetings?
Alderman Craig. And then
Is that? Oh,
I'm the staffer. Alderman Craig is the aldermanic representative, and then there are 3 citizens.
So DPW does
right? Yeah, there are currently 3 vacancies. They have 1 interested party, maybe 2, but during my 4 years here, they have been at a point where they have not had on a pretty regular basis. This commission never has trouble finding people. There are people that are committed to their parks, want to do the work. I value all of the volunteer contributions you're making. Some people are more excited about Parks Commission than they are about environmental. So that is another rationale. Because it's very frustrating for those volunteers to go to a meeting and not be able to. That's it. So
the past ones have been alder.
That was the most recent case, but in the past it has been more random.
When I look at this, do we have 2 open?
Not
book here.
currently.
Open, but we're full, right?
Yeah, you currently have a complete. The stuff in the back is you would want to look at the I don't know. I can't
With consolidation, is a scaled down number then of people that we would have, or?
That is part of this discussion. The current municipal code has the 7 members plus the ex officio, and the 7 members for environmental committee. One of the things that has come up a few different times, and I think is a really interesting and potentially valuable idea, is including the rec department on the new commission format. So that they have either as an ex officio, regular voice, or as a voting member. That discussion is part of what this look like. So yeah, I've done some review of what a commission could look like, and it's not clear to me if it must 7, but there's generally a view that that's an efficient number for a commission to. You know, not.
Excellent.
Is there other information? Otherwise, I'm intending to kind of continue this discussion at the staff level and the research, bring it back. You know, nothing moves forward without ultimately approval. But at some point, we'll be looking for a recommendation from you, yes or no. And then I would still move forward with your recommendation. So if there's more information that you're looking for, I don't want to have this be a mystery to anyone. So I'm more than happy to provide that. So the agendas were an example. I could provide an example of a natural resource special exception. Those are the commission reviews environmental. There's some technical details that are important to that, that a combined commission would be evaluating. So,
Any reason for this? Because they can't find that.
it's not an insignificant reason. The suggestion was originally made because of some of the overlap in the agenda, and also because of just the overall amount of resources to have these meetings. I think the thought process now is to try to make the scope of what the commissions are doing a little bit more practical. So you're not spending as much time on things that you don't want to be doing, but also that staff is spending time on a variety of things as well. So, and then this is also part of that discussion of like, what does actually future department look like that is a little bit better organized, working better with. So Lori Miller, the previous planning manager, was the one that made the suggestion. I'm pursuing it as part of that. How do we do these things in a way that makes us more effective, more focused, but also so they also have some expertise on their commission that relate to like natural resources and open spaces that I think would be relevant. You guys have had some discussions about open space.
As a separate group breaking up.
So I'm not familiar with that group. There is a discussion happening around noise issues. The Environmental Commission has discussed that. Specific to the scope of the Unified Development Ordinance update, so that our overall development ordinance is being updated. We're in the process of draft of that. One of the pieces of that is the environmental impacts that development has, and so the Environmental Commission actually has a membership task force. They're part of the task force making delegate. And noise is also part of that discussion, and there's a new initiative to kind of focus on that as part of that update, but I'm not aware of a subcommittee formed yet. Yeah. And that's UDO update is like a whole other so is there any information that you guys like to see or depth analysis? I did not provide. I'm realizing that I received it after I produced the packet. Research from the attorney about the mandates of information. So I'll provide that for you.
Sounds great. Taking a look at the calendar, I believe the next meeting will be January 9th.
Oh my gosh, you are correct. January 8th.
January 8th. All right.
Right?
Okay, excellent. I guess could someone make a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor? All right, fantastic. Thank you, and everybody have a happy holiday.